You've done nothing wrong to feel embarrassed or become a spiritual stink for the kingdom purposes, divine connections that God has for you. God's favor upholds you amidst any attack you're going through right now. You've done nothing for God to disapprove of you. You stand before him with a clean conscience. He sees how your enemies try to tie you down spiritually in garments of shame and defilement. God will remove them from you and cover you in his robe of favor. He will make your enemies accountable, bearing the shame of their own choices. And this comes from Psalms 25, verse 3. And this is also for those who are actively abiding in the Lord, where you know that you do, in fact, stand before God with a pure conscience, not in theory, no shade to those who are maybe battling things, but you know that you're not willfully sinning, you're not willfully backsliding, you're not connected to who God told you to disconnect from in this season. You're not, giving way to distractions. You're pressed in, preserving, and constantly going to him to be pured by his blood. Clean me, oh God, with hyssop, right? Like you're abiding in him. This is for those who are doing that. Not saying that other people, I don't want anybody to take offense to that. I'm just saying that sometimes it's easy for us to convince ourselves that we're in right standing when in fact God is showing you you're kind of not. That there are people from your past, from your job, from school, from family ties, from exes, whatever it is, that they're still attacking you with no grounds to. Actually, God sees that and he wants you to know you don't have to bear the outlook of those attacks that they're doing, because in the eyes of the Father you are in right standing. You literally stand before him with a pure conscience that it is unjust what they're doing, because you are residing in the finished work of Christ and you're hiding under the shadow of the Almighty's wings. So when they're attacking you, what they don't realize is they're almost, if you think of it just for like a graphic visual, somebody lifting up a woman's skirt and looking under. That's what they're doing to you, because that is how covered you are right now in this season with the Lord. So everything that they're doing, everything that they're attacking, it's like them actually lifting up the skirt and looking up, what they're not supposed to be looking at. God's going to take that it is personal, because you are protected. You are okay. You didn't give way for this attack. This is unjust. I'm not saying that other attacks mean that, it's not unjust, but that's a whole thing in itself, because a lot of times if you do have an open door to the enemy, and it could be a small door, just for like, honestly, clean cut example, I'm just going to give it to you straight. If you are watching something that has a bunch of serpentine spirits, I think I said that wrong. Isn't serpentine a beverage? No, that's not a beverage. Anyways, if you're watching a show that's full of like serpent spirits where they're lying, gossiping, slander, and there's lust, and you may not be actively doing that in your life, maybe that's just something you watch just to kind of cool down. Unfortunately, that is a very small open door, because in the spiritual state, when you're sleeping, that enemy has legal access to come mess with you. And so when you wake up in your life, maybe for 2 weeks, you're battling something, you have no idea why. It's because you watched something. And I'm only sharing that because I tried to watch Insecure when I was bored, and I watched the show Insecure for about an hour out of curiosity, and I couldn't finish it. It was too much, honestly, trauma for me. It was triggering. And then it was just I don't know, raunchy, vulgar. And then it was just something was off with people's eyes. I'm really sensitive to eyes. Like when I look at somebody's eyes and something's off or whatever, I can see that they're battling certain spirits or just, insecurities or different stuff in their life and in their heart. So I try not to make eye contact with people. I think this turned into a whole venting session. Nonetheless, I turned off Insecure because I couldn't finish it. And unfortunately for me, for like 2 days, I was battling a whole bunch of like confusion and like weird stuff. I'm like, Lord, what's going on? Because that was like the only thing I tried to attempt to watch. I'm like, why am I going through stuff? And he was like, you came into agreement because you watched that. So that is what I mean by like a small opening. And of course I had to repent and put it aside, because that was also a form of distraction in my own season. I now picked up the hobby of painting. You got to get creative when you're in a different season of warfare. You just do. It's not forever. And it's not to say you can't watch certain things. Just go in relationship with the Father, because you know what you're supposed to be doing. You know what you're supposed to be watching. You know what you're not supposed to be doing, because he already told you about it, And then if you're not sure that he's not told you about it, it's just better to just let it alone and leave it be. So anyways, praise God. God just wants you to know that your enemies are going to fall into the snare that they are setting for you and constantly attacking you. They're going to. God takes that personal. So hopefully that's encouraging. Just know that as far as what the Lord sees, you don't have to panic. Like, oh, this is happening. This is that. They're all ganging up on me. Like, God sees it. It's not going to happen. And even the little bits of the attacks that you feel or see or you're aware of, that's just you feeling, seeing, and being aware of it. It is not going to prosper. Continue to pray, continue to press in, and be doted on by the Most High. God bless you guys.